what's happening? Uh, yeah, I want to have some Buddha clarity. Because I heard someone talking about Buddha, but you don't understand, I don't think, really what Buddha is. So that's why I'd make a video like this. It's I mean, it's complicated and it's very, very simple. See, a Buddha, they've had, all right, a Buddha, when you say a Buddha, it basically means, it's basically a statue. It's a rock and stone. It's sometimes it's rock or stone, or it could be wood, and they plate it with gold foil or silver foil. You know what I'm saying? Basically, and it's just some guy with the works of his hands made this Buddha in a way he's remembered through the this image of Buddha. It's just a tradition, and it goes way back to the very beginning of time. Like people don't know about this because they unfamiliar with the book of Jasher, but it talks about how that's how Abraham was found righteous, is because he recognized at the time when he had to leave his country because they all followed after Buddhas. Basically, every month had its own little Buddha, and people don't. All right, you got to understand this. A Buddha is like a term. It's a representation of a entity or a person. And in Buddha's case, it's a person. He's a man. It's a man. He never once said he was a god or is God. It's basically a form of secular humanism, really. I mean, but then you could add some mystic elements into it because different people interpret it different way with different traditions. And I mean, basically, like Confucianism plays off of Buddhism and likewise, and Taoism. I mean, you got to understand Buddhism, Zen Buddhism. They also got something called Shinto. That's from like Japan, but it's all these are all based and borrow ideas off one another, and it's all off the same thing. It's nothing different from the Greeks. Okay, you can look at the Trials of Hercules and watch how he performs these actions and elevates himself to be remembered as an immortal. That's one way to be remembered, but he actually ascended off into the sky to the gods and became a god himself. So, I mean, that's really where the custom comes from. It's really Greece and Egypt. When these pharaohs basically built these pyramids, which is a representation of what's in between their legs and between a man's legs, it's like, look, that's my, and I'm an immortal now. I'm a god because I could make this happen by my own might. And I mean, it might be built off 100 million slaves back over 30 years. But since he's the representation of God on earth, that's the real. That's really what it boils down to. It's really secular humanism, and it's apotheosis. It's by your own means, your own might, you forge out your own godhood on earth by your own means. And see, Buddha was a man. It's really just he was a man with philosophies, and like all philosophy, some of it is good, some of it is just vanity. You know what I'm saying? And when your philosophy immortalizes you to where people make statues of you and attribute to godhood, that is the definition of a vanity of the Bible and an idol. So I mean, these things do go hand in hand. I just want to. It's like this. If you're gonna minister to people, you gotta minister all people. Like, look, if I don't know nothing about your history, how am I supposed to try to reach out to you? You know what I'm saying? If I have no true understanding of what, when you knock what people believe in, but you have no understanding of it, no true understanding of it, and you can't apply it broad, man, and far and wide, because it is that ever. It's all. Listen, and go to Washington. We have Buddhas all over Washington, and now some of them are of Washington, some of them are of Lincoln, some of them are of Ben Franklin. That's what you people don't understand. A Buddha is a representation of a person who has become immortalized or attributed. Someone, either they attribute themselves to become a god, or we do by making statues of them that we give this reverence to. It's your reverence. See, a statue is just a statue. But once you start to revere it, a man is just a man. But once you start to revere him and his teachings and elevate him and put him on a pedestal beyond where even he wanted to. Because if you look at Buddha, it seems like the way they carry him around is opposite of his true teaching. His teaching was about detaching from the world. But see, where Buddhism goes wrong is where we would attribute things, the good things of this world, to our Father who art in heaven, our Abba Father, right? But these guys, it's basically you got to save yourself through being righteous. But in the end, that is just another form of kind of like Gnosticism slash. Uh, it just, any person who's just honest, it's just it's impossible to do on your own. The hardest you try. I mean, that's why these people go join these temples and sit in these temples for all these years, because they're trying to limit their access to the material things of the world. I mean, that can be a good thing, that can be bad. You can also end up deep in cult type activity, and there is a lot of that. You can also go through and find the martial arts cults, and there's a lot of guruism as well, where also some people hijack someone else's teachings, like they do now with Churchianity and Catholicism. They hijack other people's religions and subvert them back to their own, for their own motives. And once again, this has also been done with the whole understanding of Buddha. I mean, Buddha as a man, what he did, he had a doctrine, he has a philosophy. It's about sciences, it's about religion, it's got spiritual aspects. It's more like a form of it's a weird form of Gnosticism, which is by your own accumulation of knowledge and by your own strivings, you can attain salvation. Or if you attribute godhood to your salvation because you want to be remembered more than anything, because you don't believe in no afterlife, you know what I'm saying? That's what Gnosticism is, and this self-righteous, self-forged apotheosis. So, I mean, there's some good points to it, but yet at some points it just totally, it's I don't know, it's a trick. It leads you to karma, which is just this constant wheel of failing and being punishment. The people don't understand, karma actually it means hell. It means you're constantly being punished for former sins from former lives. Which is, I'm not sure where this exactly comes from, but that leads into that. And it's like, I don't necessarily, from, like you can read Enoch or Second Ezra, and it talks about people are in purgatory and judgment. It doesn't say we keep getting to come back and try again and again. But it does sound like when you're in these purgatory places in the earth, we kind of are stuck on this recorder. If you die in a bad spot, you're going to be stuck in this bad spot, this bad loop. If you're in a good standing when you die, or if you got yourself right with God, and reconciled yourself, through, I mean, my belief is you gotta understand, you gotta understand the gospel and what it truly means, man, and where it goes and where it comes from and where it is heading us, man. But see, Buddha isn't a god. He never said he was a god. Just people attributed him to be enlightened. But they say that about most gurus. And if you really look into guruism, you can see it's just a form of mind control and manipulation. And you can see Jim Jones is a perfect example of that. Guruism gone wrong type of a situation. But it's like, okay, basically, and the act of creating a Buddha itself is a form of finding godhood. Okay, I think there's a dude, this Greek guy, he created this awesome statue of this beautiful likeness of Venus, and he became to love it, and he became obsessed with the statue, and basically it brought the statue to life. So listen, the same custom of making your own Buddha it's in Greece. And then you look into Egypt, they make sarcophaguses with mummies in it, and that's to bring them back to life later. So in a way, they're gods, they're immortal, they'll come back. And you got to see where this custom comes from. Even this is in the Buddha custom. But I want to show you also that it's not just a Buddha custom. There's biblical parallels as well, and other places parallels as well. All right, for instance, Enoch flew off into the sky on the back of a flying horse. All right, you have flying horse Pegasus in Greek legend, right? Well, a Chinese emperor, I think his name was the Yellow Emperor, and he flew off into sky on the back of a flying fiery horse. And some people say dragon, but they're it's similar. These guys all flew off into the sky. Elijah flew off into the sky in a whirlwind. Um, Let me think. Enoch, or not Enoch. Buddha basically ascended off into sky, and he was in a cave, and there was one shoe in the cave. You know what I'm saying? And basically, the legend is he's coming back someday. Uh, Jesus ascended off into the sky on the third day. You know what I mean? Let me think. Quetzalcoatl left. I don't know if he flew off into the sky, but he left on a boat or something, and he claimed to come back one day too. So I'm just saying this is a common theme, and when one people will look at one culture and say and cast their stuff down, when you got similar accounts in the own thing that you're supposed to be privy to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, listen, I'm showing you exactly what this stuff actually is. It's just humanism, dude. And you can really look up all these terms, man. But Gnosticism, I mean, they're similar. It means by your own strivings, your own means, whatever, you forge out your own salvation, which is totally contrary because we have to submit ourselves to the will of the Father. You know what I'm saying? And we'll find salvation through that. He's already given it to us, but we just gotta take it. You know what I'm saying? Or we can go towards these other things and toil forever and then toil again. You know what I'm saying? Like it even says through your wheel of karma. You know what I mean? But in a way, that's based on some truths because you listen by the same things you do is the same judgment you get according to the biblical theme of judgment as opposed to constant forever karma. Uh, Let me think here. Yeah, or here's another thing. It's like Buddha supposedly isn't. Uh, I'd never heard nothing about him being immaculately conceived, but and you got to think he was also a traveler from India, and he brought this philosophy to China, and then they took it, readapted it, or just reinterpreted it, and it changed over time. So it's not one body of thinking. There's many different cultures and times where they've used pieces and branched it off and all this different stuff, dude. So you can't blanket statement lump it together, and that's what I was trying to prove here. But the Immaculate Conception, it's like people like I remember the founding fathers just hate that story of Jesus being immaculately conceived, but it says in the Greek testimony or the Greek legends, myths, that the gods, the little g gods like Zeus and Apollo and these guys would come and like impregnate women with beams of light. Like alien abductions, the beam of light comes down and they say, "Oh, they took my baby." You know what I'm saying? This is may have its roots in real life in ancient history. So, um, yeah, this is a real crazy. That's a crazy subject, man, because it does seem like the alien abductions. It does kind of fit all this stuff. It's just there's weird similarities, but there is definite distinctions between one and another. So you don't make the mistake of thinking it's all saying the same thing because it's truly not. You take my word for that, or you could go stumble at it for a long time and figure it all out for yourself. That I'm just telling you, what I observed from it. I mean, listen, the image of Jesus that most Christians pray to is a Buddha. It's an idol. It's not even really Christ, man. It's just this image that the Romans gave you. The Virgin Mary, that's really the goddess of heaven. That's liberty. That's Ishtar. And the baby that she's with is Tammuz. And those also are Buddhas. They're idols that people worship even to this day. And it's like you just got to understand what a Buddha and an idol is. And you'll realize they're everywhere. And it's so common of a practice. It's basically when a statue or the image is attributed to something that it's not. That's basically what an idol means, and a vanity. And people get so whipped up about these things, they will kill themselves for these things. Or die for them, and a lot of them are false or misconceptions about what they think they are.